Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hasbro Marvel Legends figure unboxing and review video. Now today, following on from the review of the entirety of the What If wave, we have the final figure, so far at least in the lineup, being the Hydra Stomper. Now I personally was super excited to receive this guy. He's a very retro World War II looking big honkin' Iron Man suit, which y'all know has me pretty hype. Now I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is down in the description below. They do have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art. Now right up here front and center we have a massive open window showcasing the Stomper himself, some artwork on the side, and that very same image printed on the back. And by the way, I am loving this artwork. We do have a little bit of a read up on the side here if you would like to pause to read. Now it's worth noting that this box is quite substantial, both in size and in heft. I'm pretty sure this guy is going to be my biggest Marvel Legends release to date by sheer amount of plastic alone. He is incredibly hefty. Now I had planned on reviewing him sooner, but unfortunately down here in Australia it takes some time to get things. Our postal network isn't what it once was, so this guy was slightly delayed, but he is here now and I can't wait to pair him up alongside Captain Carter. What we are going to do now though is get all of the parts and pieces laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all the Hydra Stomper's accessories, and as you can see he doesn't come with a ton of stuff. I was fully expecting Hasbro to package in a skinny Steve Rogers alongside Hydra Stomper, but at the end of the day I can understand why they didn't. Now the first piece is his jetpack section. These are jointed so you can move them backwards and forwards, and there is a peg on the back that nice and securely attaches to the Hydra Stomper. You also get some blast effects to attach to the bottom here. I don't really love the Hasbro blast effects, but these do work quite nicely. Because this is an animated look and feel, with these being a little bit more cartoony, I think it works quite nicely. They are a translucent plastic with some yellow paint nicely done down the bottom there, so yeah, I think they do definitely work. Now he does come with some swap out hands, literally just some closed fists, and that's it. As I said, he doesn't come with a ton of stuff. The real bang for your buck is in the Hydra Stomper himself. What we are going to do now though is bring out the Hydra Stomper and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Let me just quickly say, this guy was just a little bit tricky to get standing. We will touch on that in just a second, but overall I'm still loving the look. He's a big, chonky, military-style robot. What's not to love? They've also included a few throwbacks to some very classic comic book style Iron Man design, and that just works for me. I love the color, I love the sculpt, I just love the overall look and feel of the Hydra Stomper. What we are going to do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. And yeah, once again, this guy is a big, beefy boy. There is a ton of plastic here, which I think is why there isn't a ton of paint. I mean, they get away with it because this is based on animation. There doesn't need to be a bunch of surface detail and chipping and weathering and washes. It would have been nice if they'd added some, but I totally understand. This is still quite accurate to the show. Now he does have some decals printed on the surface with the star and also C15. You also do have the blue for the arc reactor and the eyes. They are separate pegged in pieces, so the lines are incredibly sharp and clean. I also love the look. It kind of gives me original classic Iron Man Mark 1 vibes with the mouth and also with the little antenna, which by the way is a rubbery plastic, so fingers crossed you shouldn't have any issues with any breakages. The same thing can be said for every single one of these little ladder rungs. They are all made out of a rubbery plastic. Interestingly enough, it kind of showcases how Steve would climb into the Hydra Stomper. Up the leg, up the torso, then pops into the top. It's something that I didn't even really notice in the show, but I love to see it in figure format. Now on the back you do have these movable thrusters that you saw earlier. They literally just peg in. You do have a handle up the top that Captain Carter can grab onto, and then you have some soot detail for these blast sections where you'd peg in the blast effects. Now, on one side, he does have some weaponry. You have what appears to be the flamethrower and also his machine gun, where on the other side, it's just relatively clean. I do love an asymmetrical design, and that's exactly what's going on here. You have the antenna on one side, the ladder rungs, you've got some guns over here. It's just a little bit different on either side and mixes it up. It makes for a very interesting figure design. Now coming down to the legs, they are suitably chunky. Now, some people have complained about the floppiness. I mean, yeah, his lower torso is a little bit floppy, but you have to bear in mind, this guy weighs a ton. When he's standing on the shelf, it's not too big of a deal. You can mess around with the joints and get it to be nice and stable and sturdy. And plus, if you do have him on a flight stand, somehow, some way, then the legs aren't going to be a massive issue. Plus, they are on ratchets at the hips, so I'm pretty sure it's just a minor issue. Lastly, coming down to the feet, you do have some green paint over the darker green feet themselves, and some massive treads down below. So overall, yeah, this guy is big, he's beefy, he's imposing, and I personally am very happy. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have the Hydra Stomper next to Captain Carter. As you can see, he is absolutely enormous. He towers over Captain Carter. So yes, the size is accurate. They haven't skimped, they haven't made him slightly too small. So I can see the value here. There is a lot of plastic, specifically in the bulk and also in the size. Now this should give you a rough idea as to how the Hot Toys version will scale next to a regular 1/6 scale figure. He is going to be an absolute monster. But the Marvel Legends version alongside this version of Captain Carter is still a ton of fun to pose on the shelf. Just going over articulation. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now, starting off with the helmet, it is on a ball joint, so it does get a fairly decent range of motion going forward and back, swivel, and also a ton of pivot side to side. The arms will go up to about here. The shoulder pads are rubbery, so they do nicely get out of the way. They also move in conjunction with the arms themselves, so they also go forward and back. You don't have a ton of motion at the shoulder, but you do have a swivel at the bicep, a ratcheted single bend here at the elbow, getting you to about 90, a hinge and swivel for the wrist. As for the torso, you do have a ball joint, so you do have a little bit of crunch forward and back, swivel on ratchets, and pivot side to side. The legs themselves will go forward to about there. They will go out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, a single ratcheted bend at the knee, which is incredibly stiff, and of course a hinge and swivel down here for the ankle. Just wrapping up on the Marvel Legends What If series Hydra Stomper. Now going into this, I was really excited. You all know I had a ton of fun with the What If wave, and this guy is another great addition. I just kinda wish I had him at the same time as I did the rest of the wave, but that's down to Hasbro's distribution. They always are a little bit spotty. Nevertheless, that's nothing to do with this figure. This figure is great. He's a big, chunky, hefty figure. I love the color, I love the sculpt, and I love what it represents. It's kind of that old school Iron Man design. It harkens back to the comic book version of the Mark I. It also kind of gives me Iron Giant vibes, and I think that's why I'm connecting with this design so very much. I love it, and I cannot wait for the Hot Toys version. Now, it's not perfect. Mine has fallen over about 55,000 times because he is very top heavy, and the leg joints, as you saw earlier, are a little bit wobbly. But trust me, when you take your time and get him in the right pose, it absolutely is worth it. And once you get him there, he's very unlikely to fall over, unless of course he suddenly becomes unbalanced. Either way, I am happy with him, I do recommend him, and I got mine from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is of course down in the description below. They do have 12-month installment plans and an awesome reward system. While you are down there, check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Down in the Sky likely to